मूलम् अधः शाखम् अश्वत्थं प्राहुरव्ययम् छन्दांसि यस्य पर्णानि यस्तं वेद स वेदवित्.
Pranam Aunty, welcome welcome to Pranitwa 2, the second season of this online festival that we are conducting. We have started in July from the time of Vana Mahotsav by planting some trees on the streets of Kolkata. The reason of this festival was to link art and nature. The cyclone Amphan had made us lose lot of greenery, lot of trees. So the endeavor that we had thought was planting some trees and also creating an awareness through nature, through art, that how much importance nature is and what is the link between art and nature. The first season had performances and interviews, and the second season as well. This is the second season. We are very much privileged and honored that you have given time for this interview. Thank you so much, Auntie. Music, the first question was music, sculpture, literature, painting have all been influenced from nature in different manner and has been portrayed in differently as well. But obviously there is a link between them, and each of the form creates a bliss in its own self. From your experiences, could you share your views about the link between these separate art forms and the relation of them with nature?
At the very outset, let me thank you very much, Jalsa, for inviting me to be a part of this festival. You have worked very hard for it, and the best thing is that you have picked up courage to launch 2 seasons of quite a big festival, which I was surprised when I first talked to you that it was, at first I thought it was 18 days. Because with the work you have done during the pandemic, I was quite overawed at. God bless you for doing, and best wishes for the festival.
Thank
whatever
you.
is remaining. I think it's the concluding day. Now, coming back to your question, between what you mentioned was literature, literature, sculpture, music,
Painting.
theater. Was it theater? No, you did not mention theater.
Painting.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Now, between all these forms, the inherent thing is rasa and bhava, which bonds them very plainly, and to be more concise without going into regular details. And the rasanubhuti binds all of them together. The way, let me put in a very common criteria, that is the navarasa, if you apply to them, something which the artists of all categories have been working with. I will give you, you wanted examples, I'll give you examples with Vatsalya Rasa. The most important, the most intrinsic, and the strongest rasa which I feel is the bond between a mother and a child. And I would onto this add on theater as well, because theater is a very spontaneous and fundamental art to a certain extent. Now, if you take it one by one, literature, there are numerous examples in literature. I will take the example of mother and child, as I said. exhibiting Vatsalya Rasa. So in literature, you have numerous examples. Dancers, singers have worked with our dear little Krishna and Yashoda. Apart from that, poets like Tagore has got numerous poems on Vatsalya Rasa, on Ma. For example, if I can remember, মায়ের মুখে শুনেছিলাম ছোটবেলার গান বৃষ্টি পড়ে টাপুর টুপুর রোদে এলো বান. It's always nostalgia, and as Vidyasagar had said, sneho nimnogami. It's a very spontaneous process, and that is nature. Nature is something which is spontaneous, which is not man-made. It is not artifact. So it is not always, I will come to that. Coming back to examples, literature, I gave you a poem. There are a number of, there is no use of listing a number of poems. This is one from Brishti Pore Tapur Tupur. Diner alo nibe elo subji dobe dobe. This is a part of the poem where the last two lines were Mayer mukhe shunechilam chele belar gan. Then there is Ma ekbar darare to tore heri Chandranon. The second you said was sculpture.
Yes.
Sculpture. Sculpture, there are numerous ones, and there are top 15 in the world. The one which is best is one of them, of Vatsalya Rasa, is a bronze statue in San Marino. Okay. I have seen another one in Tate. It is by Hepworth. I forget her. It's mother and child. They're all mother and child statues, sculptures of bronze or iron. In Africa, they have it out of wood. I have two very small miniatures of them because bigger ones are not available. Then the brass tribal sculptures holding a child, mother and child. During the bombing of World War II, there was another statue of motherhood, work of Italian sculptor Berti, Berti, Berti or Berti if you want to say. It was in 1981. Okay. In Tate, I told you about Tate is London, not Tate Modern, the original Tate. Tate is London, Barbara Hepworth, and so on. You can go on. There are top 15. Painting, I'm sure you're aware of. I will give you two common ones, very much to our own state. One is by Abanindranath. Abanindranath Thakur has got a series of paintings on mother and child. He specializes on that. White, red bordered sari. There is Amrita Shergill, Jamini Rai, whole series of paintings. There are numerous. And another one, which many were not aware of the very revered and reverend great dancer who had just passed away, Amula Shankar, who had an exhibition called Navajivan, and there she painted with her fingers and nails, and she has a very famous mother and child. I can show you that. Perhaps I have handy over here. This is a bigger painting. I don't know if you're able to see it. This is a part of a very big painting which she had done. She gave it to me. This was a present to me. And Navajivan, give me a second, is a very famous mother and child. And what she told me was that this mother, she's a poor woman. She drew a poor woman, very clad scantily, but finally she is a mother.
Yes.
So this was one of her very, yes, I have it here. A mother. This is the one. She's very scantily dressed. But the bonding, the love, everything is, I'm glad that this was handy with me. For theatre, as I told you about, canvas on acrylic, the very important painting is by Dayanand Karmakar. Acrylic on oil canvas. I think that says it all for this question of yours. The mothers out and speak out their problems became a theatre in situ. So it is Vatsalya Rasa, as I said, and it is Rasa and the Bhava, which you have to, and how you define Rasa is according to your own, what you imbue out of it.
Yes.
আমার মায়ের হাসি মাকে মনে পড়ে সুধীরলাল চক্রবর্তীর একদম পুরনো দিনের গান I think it is late 50s early 60s এরকম একটা কিছু হবে songs, and of course the very common one, I don't know, it was during our college days, Mother of Mine. I'm sure you heard it. It's a very important English song. You gave to me. Nandor Ma, again a famous one, Joy Goswami. তারপরে সব থেকে যেটা খুব ফেভারিট আমার মা, বাৎসল্য রসের মা বলতে, সেটা হলো শিশু, যে কবিতাগুলো লিখেছিলেন রবীন্দ্রনাথ, the ones, the poetry, that collection Shishu has a lot of the bonding. আচ্ছা মাগো বলো দেখি রাত্রি কেন কালো, সূর্যি মামা কোথা থেকে পেলেন এমন আলো, এইসব ধরনের। তারপরে আরেকটা যেটা he wrote specially for his daughter who died at 12, Renuka, out of tuberculosis after his wife passed away at the age of 30. It is that আমি যদি চাপা হয়ে চাপার বনে, I can remember it probably. Well, suppose I became a champa flower just for fun. আমি যদি দুষ্টুমি করে চাপার বনে চাপা হয়ে থাকি, তখন মাগো বলো। So suppose I became a champa flower just for fun and grew on a branch high up on the tree and shook in the wind. With laughter and danced upon the newly. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Connection. So this is poetry, literature.
Yes.
So you go on to the next one. Quickly finish.
Yes. So there are like numerous examples and.
Yes, there are numerous examples for Vatsalya, and it is basically rasa, the rasa and the bhava, which bind all of them together and then give bliss. There, of course, the area is much large, but the forum is not really right for.
Yes, and yes, that bliss is something that is the ultimate, and rasa srishti and rasa nishpatti is the way of in which is, I guess, yes, as you say, is the link between all the art forms, and they are binded by that. Finally, it is the audience, or it is finally the reader or the viewer. I'll move to the next question. This is from your experience, Auntie. You have witnessed so many dance forms. You have witnessed. This is related to dance. Uh, so different forms of dance that you have watched. Have there been some? There must have been some which dealt with the topic of nature. So, like amongst what you have watched, which maybe have left a deep mark in you, something that you can share, some experiences, some memories that about nature, the subject of nature in dance forms that you have seen.
Now, before I give you examples of dance forms, which you say are subject to nature, the definition of nature and nature study is important. Because most of the performances that happen are related to the I wouldn't say in the broader sense, it's only of vegetation, the plant and the botanical and the zoological world. Nature is something which man is not man-made. Any part of the universe that is not man-made is nature. Now, the universe consists of two parts. One is the system and the surroundings. There is nothing else. What is surroundings? There's an imaginary boundary between the two. You can have at least 15 ways of explaining. I wouldn't say definition. The particular qualities belonging to a person is also referred to as nature. Man did not create it. What is done? System is that part of the universe on which any observation is made. Any observation. The others are surroundings. There is nothing else in the universe. Now we are in the earth, in the planet. The earth also, the planet Earth also consists of natural minerals, geological species, but if you consider performances or concentration, it is actually nature study on the, as I said, biological species and principles to be followed naturally. Anything that is not man-made is nature. Anything that is man-made are art. So, I would first, there are a few which I would definitely like to say. The majority observation is, for example, it's a natural process that water runs downhill. You understand the term water runs downhill? It's waterfall, we don't see water rise.
Yes.
Heat flows from a higher to a lower temperature. Spontaneous part. Spontaneous. So these are all natural processes. And there are two worlds, that is the scientific world. The scientists have followed the natural happenings, the phenomena, and defined it. I will give you an example, of say the character or the habit, the material part. That is again nature, but we don't use them so much for say performances. They do. I have one performance which is out of the, it's roughly around 4 or 5 which have cast a One is by Anand Shankar Jain. She did a collection over here called Kavyanjali as a part of the Happiness Festival over here, working with, it was very coincidental, excuse me. It was very coincidental that at the same time, a Telugu poet Devapalli Krishna Shastri and Tagore were thinking on the same line and writing similar poems of similar sensibilities and natures. So she did, she used a very, I have never till date from childhood found a more beautiful representation or explanation through the medium of dance. She used Bharatanatyam. And then Kuchipudi. For the dance, Mamo Chitte Niti Nritte Ke Je Nache. She knew no Bengali, she knew no Telugu. She was explained by Partho Ghosh, and the song was sung by Dolon Banerjee. This was one part. She did a series of it. The 4 songs which I will tell you. One was Mamu Chitte Niti Nitte. If you remember the Antara, Nache Janmo, Nache Mrittu Pache Pache. Tata Thoi Thoi, Tata Thoi Thoi, Tata Thoi Thoi. Now, everybody dances to this. But what she did was, probably because she passed through this anguish and trouble, she gave a representation in which the whole auditorium of ICCR, rather I would say, was mainly filled with people of an elderly section. Tears were rolling down their eyes. She used a calligraphy at the back done by her husband, Jayant Dwarakanath, and it was done in a very slow tempo. And she transformed the sensibility, nature, a very important aspect of nature, that is death. Mrittu. Mrittu is a very, what was there, think of the line. Mamu chitte niti nitte ke je nache tata thoi thoi. Acha. What she did was nache janmo, nache mrittu pache pache. Nobody explained this ever. She did it in a very slow tempo, in a dim light. She did not really deconstruct all the Arabus, but what she did, for all others also, she basically structured and stitched the Carnatic, I would say the Khandajatis with the Tishra, with angular Bharatnatyam. And she, the light was moving dimly, and you get that, I still get goosebumps. You are feeling that you are always behind with the uncertainty of passing on to another world from here. That is Mrittu. Tagore had a lot of tragedies in his life, and he was literally living with death behind him. One could explain through the language of dance and movements. He was in a diagonal, 5 dancers. One had a hand raised. Slightly lower, as if you are being led. Nache janmo, nache mrittu pache pache, it was visualized. And the people of the age were literally, they were crying, their tears were dropping. I still remember, and that is the only brought Tagore's mind and sensibility to the fore. If you can recall, at our time also, that this is a dance given to the very initial stage of children. Nacho nache, mamo chitte, nitte, as if it is a very, and even to us, I did not understand it till then, that it could be represented in such a way. It is it was wrenching the heart. It is probably because she had undergone this tussle between Janma and Mrityu. It was pache pache, it is always shadowing you, it's following you all the time. Something which happens at our age and later. You don't think of death at a much younger age. It is this uncertainty, this sensibility. There was this other song. This was very highly philosophical. And then she's the last line, ki anundo, ki anundo. That means after you have crossed death, you have come to a place of eternal bliss. At this particular point, while talking to you, I come to a certain explanation of a feature by Anita Ratnam, which she said that till you go to Vaitarani, it's very difficult to cross. They say, no, after there is only Anundu, nahi mrityu, nahi jara. So it was that we need to understand, and we, the singers and the dancers and arts people, have been putting it onto a child to dance it because of the rhythm. Even we have done it. Even our children have done it. Everybody does it. So what she explained for a person who knows no Bengali, no Telugu, mind you, she, by her own admission. Then there was another very common song. Monomor Meghilo Shom, Ure Chale Dig Digantero Pani. A very mundane, we don't normally use it for Bosho. It's a very hackneyed. She did it in a very, very slow tempo. Very slow tempo. It's in Kaharba Tali. She used it in a very slow tempo. And the position was the down. They were at an elevation. And all of them were looking up. As if they are flying with the clouds. And are about to take a position over there with the rain. And when she came to the line Rim Jim, she was in front. Rimi Jim, Rimi Jim, Rimi Jim, আছে না? মনোমর মেঘেরও সঙ্গী উড়ে চলে দিক দিক গন্তেরও পানে নিঃসীম শূন্যে শ্রাবণ বর্ষণ সঙ্গীতে Rimi Jim, Rimi Jim, Rimi Jim. At Rimi Jim, Ananda was closing her eyes and she was enjoying every moment. Mind you, there was no much rhythm. It was in a very, very slow tempo. Ati vilambe. And it had a simply beautiful effect with only the calligraphy behind. And you literally felt that you are soaking the rain throughout the Rimi Jim, Rimi Jim, Rimi Jim. The beautiful sensitivity of imagination and art. The second one, which is by, it's a very recent one, seen rather, sorry. I will come to the ones abroad later. Let us talk of home productions. Not nature, I'll come to the one whom I admire so much at the end. It is again the so-called nature, the biological and the zoological system, because we are scientists and we do not follow that particular thing, anything else. It is by Sadhya, the mystical forest. If you have not seen it, do not lose ever the opportunity to see it. It was staged over here on the centenary productions of Amala Shankar in Ravindra Sadan, Santosh Naya's company. He used Mayurbhanj Chau and other and extended forms of it. And the music was by Upamanyu Bhanot. Light had a very strong impact. It was all about the inhabitants of the forest, excuse me for my voice, inhabitant of the forest, and to leave them alone in their natural habitat. This was the ultimate message, so that you don't disturb them. It is a piece on creativity, not concern, empathy towards these people. He had used masks. Mask suddenly, by talking to it, recalls me this sort of a mask now people are used to. You know why? Because they look like the coronavirus, but not ordinary masks. Last year when I saw it, I was very intrigued. Very colorful ones. The dances were beautiful, stretched ones. And the whole Rabindra Shadun had the atmosphere of a forest, with lighting by Gyanadev Singh, I think his name is. Gyanadev Singh, if I can recall. And music was pulsating. It was the life in the forest. And it was natural, tribal, it's primitive to the core. And the message was that you leave these inhabitants alone to be in freedom. There was no dialogue. But what they said through these wonderful masks, it was visually, imagery was so good. They knew how to communicate or appeal art to the audience. And this is something which is very important, you know. You people have duty, that is the artists of any form, to make the audience, you give the audience something which will not really appreciate your art, but will also try to whatever you are trying to convey them. It's really not to educate them. Yes. So this was, again, on the environment, it was totally, and I'm sure the costumes were also like that. Brown, earthy, deep green, foresty, then the shaded light. The light had a very important part to play in it. The third is, again, very much at home over here. The dance drama, Halguni Baitago, not dance drama, the drama, it's a kampo. It was transformed into, dance was introduced into it. Halguni Baitago is one of the two very popular programs. The other one is Autolayaton. It was done by a section of students of Dukkini, the alumni, under the guidance of Devashish Rai Chaudhary. It was not the celebration of spring, actually. It was not really the celebration of spring or the introduction of spring through color, through dried leaves, through bareness. Was trying to, Tagore was, it is an allegorical play. I hope you know what allegorical is. Rupak. He was using the allegory of dried leaves, spring, and spring. The reality of life and death. So, this introduction, it was basically on how you should have no fear for death, to reduce the fear for death. Again, a natural concept. And dealing with this allegory, or you cannot call it a metaphor really, an allegory which is bare leaves, color, faded colors. It's really based on a section of boys who, Nabujo wanted dog. So they go on a trip it's a play in a play. So they want to do Vashanto Shah. But there is an old man, I don't know if you know about the play, but I'll very briefly tell you why it is so. So there is an old man who wants to spoil their play. So, but he vanishes. They want to search that old man, and finally find them with the help of Chandraharsh and their Shortak. Their elder one they call Dada, Chandraharsh and their Shortak, with the inspiration of Shortak. And they finally are led into a dark cave where the Shortak comes out rejuvenated without white hair, grey hair. He was young. You see the allegory over there. This dark cave
Yes.
is a place for despair. The darkness side of human side is a niche for illumination of human realization that the cycle of life and death. There were lovely songs of my notun kore pabo bole harai khone khone, chokher aloy dekhechilen chokher baire, ittadi ittadi. They had introduced a few dance for making it more attractive because it is a heavier concept. And light was a very important component again to, I would say, catalyze or accelerate the narrative. So this was something which appealed to me. The third one was in the Lucerne Music Festival in Switzerland, the KKC, in front of the hall. The setting was beautiful. It was the lake and the Roes River. They have the festival on the sides of the river, on the banks of the river. And there is a very big convention hall whose tickets are extremely high up. We wouldn't dare to afford it because we would have lost all our euros over there. But the street ones and the ones which are around are of extreme high quality. There was a group of musicians from London. Yes, London they were from. They were using all sorts of instruments, including old accordions. There was the best of the Swiss musicians, folk dancers, etc. And the street performances along the river. It's a huge one. And then the Kapelle, the bridge, the landmark of Lucerne. You take it's a tower and then you have a bridge. And guess whom we found over there? A group from Rajasthan. Feeling very happy. They were all lying down, sitting on the road, enjoying with a whole lot of people. It was full of people. You were not able to walk. The whole of Europe literally was there. And they were doing Kalbelia, the folk dance. And there was another fellow, Bhavai also. And there was another fellow, tall one. I remember him very well. He was clad in a greyish thing with a huge pagri and all that with clappers, wooden clappers. He was singing Nibura, the one which shot into fame in the Aishwarya Rai film. Nibura, Nibura, Nibura. And after that, he was so happy to see me. And Indian, I said, "Are aap Nibura ga rahe hain?" So he was went down, and his voice, it would, I think, it would have come to Rajasthan from there. From Lucerne, it would have come to Rajasthan, I'm sure. And then, he, after he finished and saw us appreciating, even the Europeans were appreciating over there, people who go there. He broke down when he came to me, saw me. They were having pancakes. Swiss pancakes are famous. He said, "Do you know, there was one film, 100 rupees, and learn this song from me." And because our desh wale hai na, was speaking in his own Haryanvi and whatever, what I could understand, he said, "Which is why I can cry out my heart to you. I have realized the value of this song after I came over here, with so many people appreciating that he got only 100 rupees and he was very happy to share that song with somebody who came." The next one, let me see if I can chill and accelerate my... Yes. Ode to Joy. Okay. since I'm in Europe, I'll hop into London. Red Oleander. Rokto Korobi was staged over there in 2006. And I happened to be there. It was staged by somebody called Kevin, who had a Bengali mother and a British father. And they were interested in the staging. Her mother was, his mother rather, sorry. His mother was interested in staging in Rabindranath plays. His mother's name was Sarojini, shared with us Sarojini. Kevin Rollers, I don't know, I forgot his name suddenly. Anyway, it is Myriad Company, Myriad Productions. The production's name is Myriad, and he was Kevin something. Let me see if I can remember his name finally. His mother's name was Sarojini, another one was, I think, Karamchand, and his brothers, him, and another one was Ravindranath. So they wanted Tagore's place to be done. The next tent would be the post office. They did Red Oleander, and Nonini was a Parsi girl. There was the only one Bengali cast over there. Even Vishu Pagol was again a foreigner. But no Bengalis, even no British-born Bengali also. There was only one who was in the side character. They did not have Ranjanify. No, Kishore was there. Kishore was this boy who was there with them. The production was so attractive, and it was totally different of the Rokto Korobi. So I had seen Rokto Korobi done by staged over here by Troupe Mitro and Shomu Mitro. I found it a very strong and a stressful piece they use the metaphor of Rokto Korobi. Rokto Korobi was written by Rabindranath in Shillong, and eventually a lot of people had experimented with Rokto Korobi. There is a CD, and our Calcutta Somnath Putti had lately done Ebong Rokto Korobi, where he put it into a different slant, deliberation. It was this Rokto Korobi, as I said, in Camden. Then there was this Ode to Joy. Ode to Joy was done by Shaunak Chatterjee, our singer. It was based on sufferings. Suffering, art comes alive. He had to say that suffering makes art come alive. And the production was inspired by Henry Schiller's poem, Ode to Joy, 17 something. It was based on the World War II. And they used the Mozart symphony to it also. There, Picasso's Guernica. It was on the bombing of a town in Europe. And this was staged by installation by our Sudarshan Chakraborty of Sapphire Creation. A very small piece. It was so intense. The lighting effect was so, I would say, appropriate with the narrative that you were feeling as if the war was coming to our door. That you are a part of that particular thing. It's Picasso's very famous painting, installation, Guernica. And Sudarshan had done it extremely well. He also put in another production, which I watched in ICCR. Riturango had lovely, beautiful costumes. And this was a combination of, that is, India meets the Southeast, using gamelan music, and he used aerial feats, the rope malakam, and some amount of chow, and all combined together. Two productions which you might say hasn't got any relation to the domain on which we are carrying out our system, according to the scientists, that is the biological and the zoological system. was The Abandonment of Sita by Kapila Venu. Kapila Venu is an extensively, an artist of a very, very high quality of choreography, which will, and her performances cross all frontiers. This was called the Abandonment of Sita. And it was her eyes. It was only Kuriatam, of course, uses eyes to effect. It was so in that after the performance, I asked her, how do you manage to make your eyes red? She told me the secret, you know. She said, I use a particular flower whose juices, when you put it into your eyes, it makes it red. The eyes of Vilaku, that particular performance will again give you bang and think that Rama is no longer a Maryada Purushottam. He's tortured Sita so much. She expressed herself that she was abandoned in the forest. We have read a lot about Sita's Agni Pariksha and this and that, and from the feminine point of view. But this relation, to relate with her performance over there, something really and really very great. There was another one, which I still remember, was around 2007. I was in Stratford Union. I couldn't, Swan Theatre was undergoing renovation, so we went to Courtyard Theatre, and I said, I have to see it. The venue is more important, the production is not. My experience to be in Swan or to be, because I was in Shakespeare's place, and I used to admire, I said, before I die, I would definitely go. And after seeing Anna Hathaway's Cottage and all that, whatever ticket we got, paid £40 at that time each. And we walked in, Henry VIII. As it is, it's a historical novel. I am not a very tolerant person as far as history is concerned. I visited his castle just before that, you know, on a tour. And then the Warwick Castle and all that. The set, Jalsa, I cannot tell you. The dungeons, the set, and the places where from the palace they were going up to the fort, and then people were being dropped into the dungeon. We were sitting there in a huge courtyard. Theatre was also very huge. And we were feeling as if we are inside, we were feeling scared. It was made of metal, cylindrical ones. So very realistic. You would feel you were in absolutely a hall where they were punishing you. So it was a masterpiece of craftsmanship. Acting, of course, was of very, very high standard. You come back not with a heavy heart, but with a lot of astonishment that how could this sort of thing happen? Were you really in the middle of all those things? And that Henry VIII was so cruel. He was doing this with so many wives and all that. What I remember, and sometimes I remember after so many years, is that long metal, steel or whatever it was, dark, scary. It was at the end, I think it went up to minimum 100 feet high. Minimum. And the fall, and also the structures. Both that here, so we cannot. There are a number more of productions over here also. As far as thematic ones are concerned, here you are with your pet topic, Vriksha Sakhi by Dr. Mallika Kandali. Was a very later productions, you know. She used the verses of Shankar Deva. She's a Satriya dancer. And the verses of Shankar Deva he wrote it so many years back. It was called Vriksha Sakhi, relation of a woman with a tree. it was so sensitive. Here also you have in the villages or somewhere else, the relations of women, they do puja to the tree, they worship the tree. But here the woman goes and expresses herself to the tree. It's a beautiful piece, which she had expressed. So I think you have quite a mouthful. I've spoken so many things. I kept on remembering that this is coming and then that is coming.
Yes.
We do have a lot of productions here also. And then an enactment of The Sound of Music in Austria.
Okay.
This is a part of their tourist promotion. They do it in the Altstadt. On one side is Mozart's house and the other side of it. And in their house of the Von Trapp's house is still there. And you'll feel it's very lively because we have related to it. The next generation has also seen it. So you are living with it. It's just that, which is why you loved it. Yes, carry on, please. Otherwise, I'll get stuck over here.
Yes, there are so many, and like you're expressing. Yes, I was also somewhat visualizing, and just maybe yes, there are some of which yes, I would also like to watch. Yes.
Yes, but you must watch Sadhya's production.
Yes.
Mystic World. You know, if not anything else, you will realize how costume difference, how the projections light. This part also is a part of choreography.
Definitely. Yes. Yes. That is.
So hope after the pandemic things would go better.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I think my quota is over. So spoken about performance. I was also feeling I was getting transported to those places.
Yes, and you were transporting me as well.
Anyway, that is good, isn't it?
That is good. Yes, yes. Andy, maybe I'll just yes. The question is, in today's fast life, how much relevant is the influence of nature and its depiction through dance? Is it meaningful, and how much? You have seen so many, as you were narrating, nature as in like nature is as you were saying, nature can be defined, or the word nature can be understood in different ways. There is different.
No, I'm not saying this. It is the truth, actually.
Yes.
It is not. I'm saying this.
Yeah.
There are two parts to it. One is the man-made, which is not man-made. Everything is nature. I'll tell you one thing over here. It may be out of the context. I had happened to meet a Nobel laureate. His name was Walter Kuhn. He gave me a whole lot of information, and then he said something very, very important. Science inventions, discoveries, so-called, are done actually after a number of observation, and then you speculate. If you see 10 children absorbing or understanding whatever you are saying to them or whatever you are teaching, and the 2 more or 3 don't, you will think that, well, your strategy applies. So speculation. When Lord Faraday was dying, these are facts. His son came and asked him, your student, sir, what do you speculate? He said, I speculate none. He was lecturing around the world on scientists and their gods. Scientists did not create anything. They found out whatever nature things were there. So it is, everything is in the universe. As I told you, it is the system and the surrounding, and depends on the surrounding. Tagore has also said it, akash bhora surjo tara, বিশ্ব ভরা প্রাণ, তাহারি মাঝখানে আমি পেয়েছি মোর স্থান, তারপরে কি বিস্ময়ে তাই জাগে জাগে আমার প্রাণ. So he was surprised, and the meeting of the minds between Einstein and Tagore, if you have not read it, resulted in The Religion of Man, is very, very important. They differ on two things. One had a poet's head and was a thinker, and the other had a thinker's head, one was a poet. So it was just this difference, nothing else. So, as you said, how is nature meaningful? You asked me, it got chopped off. Nature is meaningful. How is nature? Would you repeat your question, please? Because there was a little disturbance over there.
What I wanted to say is, like, I wanted to ask is, what is the relevance of even today also, obviously, according to you, or like what you feel is the message that you want to give regarding the relevance of nature in today's, what should I say, in today's urban world, in today's and this nature I'm talking about, nature as in prakriti, as in the environment, related to the environment. What is its importance to, even as a, in this art, in the field of art, and what is the message that you want to give to the young, to the next generation or the young generation regarding the relevance of nature today?
Firstly, everything is environment. Accepting the human being, we are in the planet Earth in an environment, whether it is a geological environment, whether it is a botanical or the vegetation in which you are considering. Jagdish Chandra Bose, when he was a boy, he used to sit beside the Bhagirathi and wonder. I don't know if you've read this piece. It has been included from our time into the curriculum of the Bengali first language. Bhagirathi Utsho Sandhane. He used to sit there, ask daily, Ganga, tumi kotha hoite ashiacho? Mahadever jota hoite? And from there, he understood the irreversibility of the land and the cycle of life, that the rain cycle, the wind cycle, etc. Now, if you say relevance of nature, that is the botanical and zoological. Is it that, or you are also considering the innate ones like the geological, the meteorological? All these are nature. Meteorology is nature. Geology is nature.
Yes, what I want
tsunami is nature. So the plants and butterflies and insects. And if you wanted to ask that, of course there is relevance. Of course there is relevance. You will find many of the present urban productions have a rural setting in the performing arts. Also, nowadays it is very stylish and fashionable and a status symbol to have a farmhouse. So, urbanization, if you talk of, 31% of India population is urbanized. So they're all living in the rural areas. If you talk of relevance, of course it is relevant. It is a matter of convenience, actually, and that people are coming to the cities for survival. The survival strategies are different. And there is a part of compromise, which I would say. Like this is a paradox, actually. I would suggest that everyday matters of survivals are important. I will give you one example over here. A long time back, I happened to be in a remote village near Kanpur. I forget the name of it, where they have regular Ram Leela. Now, the relevance I'm talking of. Now, over there, you must be knowing that Ram Leela, they burn the Ravan, which is made out of hay and all these things. But there I found a stone Ravan with head and hand, what would I say, the astras, made of paper. The weapons were made of paper. Head and the astras, headgear and astras made of paper, which they were burning. Now the ritual, they are doing all right. These people on the art, they were not interested in art. They were not interested in either tradition or ritual. It was just a matter of habit they were doing. And we asked them, why do you have a stone body which they keep and burn it? He said that, you know, it's very expensive to have a Ravan every year and burn the whole thing and then again have it. So we have made it of stone and doing it. Now, what is it? It's a matter of endurance. It is not a matter of using tradition. The change has to occur slowly and organically as to how you want to present art. The other one I would give you, how would you like an electric light? I think this is happening somewhere in the south for a Kuriyattam. In a Kotavalam, they're using electric light. So when the whole accent is on the eyes of the Kuriyattam artist in front of the Vilaku, will the electric lamp convey that aesthetics? That means the aesthetics is judged. How is it judged? It is our preconceived ideas which we have revealed, something which we've learned. Like that Theyyam artists have started putting electric bulbs on their headgear. So there again, the matter of convenience. So when we talk of relevance, we have to see that what is convenient for survival and how much compromise have to be made. For example, this digital platform, after the pandemic is over, would you still be in the digital platform or will you go back to your auditorium or the arts? This is the question.
Right.
I thought, so do you think I gave you my answer?
Yes. And you brought me to the next question as well, which will be following. And this is the last thing that was there, definitely, that we are a species, human beings, we adapt to situations. We have adapted even to this pandemic, this digital platform that we have initially actually maybe as you may recall, in the beginning of this pandemic, we all were in a fix. We were worried how to carry on with our work, how to carry on with as artists, how we would move on with our art without the stage, without the auditorium. But we adapted and we imbibed this digital media and very well. And in this pandemic, maybe otherwise, things which wouldn't have been possible, we have made it possible also. And now, so that is what that we, and this is our like if I compare with a tree, we adapt. A tree also, where it will move to the direction of the sunlight. It will move to where it has the environment suitable for its surviving, suitable for its existence. Similarly, we also, as part of nature. We have adapted. We change the situation around us to help us, better ourselves, to help us to move on, to carry on with our work. So, and this also, and similarly, this has become a platform, this virtual media has become a platform to communicate. So can you share your views on this situation of human beings, especially in this art field, where we have adapted to this pandemic, we have made use of this situation, taking the help of the virtual media, and how much have we overcome this situation, and how much has this art in this situation helped us to overcome the crisis that we all faced in this period of the pandemic?
Please repeat the last sentence.
Yes.
It's the speech got blocked in between.
Yes. What the question was that, what according to you, can you share your view?
The last line.
Yes, that how we have adapted to this situation and how we have made use of this virtual media to communicate, and as artists or through the help of art, how can we and how have we, according to you, overcome this crisis? Have we overcome this crisis? And if we have, then how have we overcome this crisis, taking the help of the virtual media in this 6 or 8 months maybe?
In the first place, you will be in a position how you have overcome.
Yes.
We are viewers and the audience. You are the artist. Actually, any change should be a slow and organic change, not swift one. Now, at the very outset, let me tell you how many artists have or can afford the digital media. It is the very lucky few. But before doing that, it is definitely a sign of positivity to project or propagate your art. Initially, it was roof dancing and home videos and things like that, and then gradually things got improved. They were taking shots in closed spaces, those who can afford an auditorium. But this is only for the privileged class. How many in our state or country, I would say, have a smartphone, a computer, and access to the digital? So those who are doing it are a privileged class, and a very strong section of our art lies. It is in the rural settings, the rural areas. Even some over here, especially the accompanists, those. But it is again a way out. It is like if you have blocked a small river somewhere, it will find out its way. It's a very natural habit, trait, I would say, to find out another way to do it. So you people, the artists have found, I wouldn't say you people, a way to project it, and the audience are also enjoying this. But now I find it's a very, very encouraging thing to happen. I'm very happy that technology you are using, but the problem is that the aesthetic sense is charged. If you say revealing our own taste and also yours, the culture, because of our cultural conditioning. If we were conditioned that way earlier, we wouldn't have compared. You see, this is what lands up in a generation gap. You will find the previous generation said, at our time, this never used to happen. At our time, we had 20 rupees for mutton. And our time, things were very good. There was no trouble in the city, whatever is happening over here. The city was safe. At our times, girls were not moving around in trousers and things like that. So change is always welcome because life must move on. Change is a very spontaneous process. That it should change. There is another part of it. The social and economic environment. The environment is just not leaves and trees and rivers. How is the social, logical, and economic environment affected? Also, now I come to the second part. So people were happy with home videos, with the root dances, something which we used to do it when we were children, in the afternoon when the adults were sleeping or whatever they were doing. We had no training whatsoever and tried to show our talents on the roof. Every house had a roof at that time. The multi-story flat culture was not there and used. Again, I just was remembering and I took up some of our old photographs. Bed sheets, saris, things being hung. So all this was going on. Then the moment people started improving your backdrop, we started expecting more. This was again a natural trait of human. That if you get something slightly better, you go wish beyond that. And now since there are so many progression of videos with where you have auditoriums, the studio setting, we would not like to see performances where the backdrop is either a curtain or a drawing room or the sofa is removed or you have the furniture there and somebody is dancing. You see, the focus is removed, shifts from the artist's art and the aesthetics. One then does not judge. You get disturbed because you are conditioned otherwise. You had seen something better. For the artist, the relation, the live presentation is very important. The contact of, you get an immediate reaction, which is why theatre artists find it more gratifying, although they are paid less than those in films. But the main problem is that you people are a privileged class who are getting it. And which is why I asked you the question, would you go back to the auditorium? Also, the number is increasing unbelievably. So it so happens to us that we want to see some performances, but they are being streamed at the same time. But at the same time, there is an alternative. They are recorded. They are in the YouTube. They are in the Facebook. And what is happening? Your screen time is increasing. If you are putting yourself, subjecting yourself to so much of screen time, like children are in the online classes, online school, what are you doing? You're injuring yourself. It has come down to the same problem. The essays which we used to write when we were children, the next generation, our children used to write when they were, whether science is a bane or a boon. The ill effects. The eyes get. So, whatever change is happening, it is having the flip side of the coin. But I still feel that this has its positive side for those who are privileged and can afford to do it. And you are the lucky few who are able to stream it, so that you are able to carry forward your art and take, and yes, and come out, I wouldn't say of depression, because the problem is from generation wise, that the level of satisfaction and want changes from one generation, from one status to another. And so if you are remaining in wherever you want to or satisfied, technology is definitely a helpful aspect. I'll give you a very common problem which is happening. We have home banking, slightly away, deviating from it, but I think it would be a very good example. We are in the comfort of our home. We don't have to run. But when a problem occurs, you are not able to rectify it in the internet. Technology is not being able to help it, because by that time it has traveled miles and miles and miles, and to trace it back. Earlier it was just going around meeting people, and of course you are becoming housebound, lonely also. If it is a stopgap solution, it's a fine thing, this streaming. But I would really, really wish that when the pandemic goes, now I feel happy also that, well, I don't have to go out. That makes you lazy. Well, I don't have to dress up. I don't have to make arrangements. So it is making you less mobile.
Yes.
And also you're not in contact with people. After all, human beings are social people. You like to meet people, like to talk to people, whichever age it is so. So my wish is that after and especially I'm worried about the eyes also for everyone. This is a good a way out, not a solution. Now for the message, which I have no message. I would want, rather it is important that the artists have such production or help the public to give them something which will make them understand or appreciate your art. The fair should be given in such a way that they start understanding or appreciating your art. Not the trained eyes, even with the lay eyes. Actually, for those who say that something is spontaneous, oh, his acting is spontaneous, but nothing is spontaneous. It is all patterned if you take it minutely and dissect and bisect it. Technically, you will find everything is spontaneous, not spontaneous. What you are doing, moving in a particular direction. So I would definitely wish that it is the artists who would be able to prepare a better audience, not education, but through their whatever capacity they are trained in, to make, let people appreciate, understand, institute in them, imbibe in them your art form. I hope this is okay for you.
Yes, thank you so much.
It is
true, it is true what you say. And obviously every coin has both sides. Everything is technology.
No, but don't take it as a duty. The moment you will take it as duty,
no, yes.
You will find it is
becomes a burden.
You don't enjoy doing it. For example, today if I have opted for this art because I could not dance for whatever reason, but I had a profession. Since I had a different profession, this was not my profession. I enjoy pursuing this passion of mine.
Yes.
So this is something important.
Yes. Yes, that enjoyment should definitely, otherwise it spoils, yes. And maybe, yes, and for that reason only, maybe we are
always your best.
we are trying to do this. This is also for this reason only, not a very whatever little that was possible in this situation, in this crisis. I don't know, like I also thought of, maybe I wouldn't have done it if it was a normal situation. We wouldn't have done it this way, and not doing this thought of nature, this thought of this social awareness, thought of this environment and everything. Maybe, I don't know, maybe if we were going as we were going, yeah, there would be productions and there would be work, and it would have continued. But this awareness of nature, and suddenly all of actually this pandemic made me think about this nature in this way, because I saw, I mean, being little bit of what should I say, being an what should I say, maybe I like seeing seeing nature. I try to understand, I try to feel nature, if you can say. So I saw the greenery that increased in a matter of 3 months when everything was locked down. Yes, that's what I also realized, that there is good and bad. Yes, people were losing jobs and there was this negative, all this was going on, but nature was balancing itself. I saw so many birds that I never saw before. The temperature was so much cooler. In the month of May, there was no sultriness in the weather in Kolkata, which was really very, very surprising. So I realized, and maybe
I think so.
This time it was.
It's so sultry these days.
Now it's October.
It's so sultry these days.
Yes, and because we have
so sultry.
Yes, we have again. Yes, because we have come back to our all the vehicles are outside now. Lockdown is over, and we have. But that's what. So we thought of doing this and maybe creating an awareness, and maybe just not dancing for the sake of dancing, but trying to do something little bit more than that. I don't know if it is, I don't know how much this will work out or nothing like that. Never thought of doing for some, with some.
No, you should go for water preservation. Could aware people not for the plants so much. Our water level in the city is drastically going down. You land up in a state.
Thank you so much, Auntie, for your, what should I say, your
Thank you also.
So detailed views, and I hope I learned a lot from this, and I hope this will be a message that everybody will try to remember. And thank you so much. I really learned a lot, Auntie, and it was, thank you for your views and sharing your views. Thank you so much.